So these are the sort of things that I want just in culture. We make more money. It's faster. And we have defect-free culture in Australia because of people like you.
I think, Jerry, a couple of things there that just speak out very loudly. So, I mean, obviously a big topic is waterproofing. It always is, and it always should be, because it is the biggest thing where defects are found in Australian homes. As we said, we've got a waterproofer or a tiler who's going to do the waterproofing. I know with Victoria, they're going to supply a compliance certificate that's going to be passed on to the building surveyor, and that's a part of completion of the house. Now, how many times would we see a waterproofer out there who's just gone to buy a wholesale product, because they've bought it in pallets, it's cheaper, and they've just put it on any, building methodology, wet area, whatever it might be. There's not really anything there to say that's specified for the type of tiling mechanisms, the stops, as we're just saying, what needs priming correctly, what's the substrate it's going to. There's not really anything there that's signed off, which is a worry too, because the cowboys out there are not even inspecting this. They're just slapping it on, bang, and we've seen it on one of these popular TV shows. We see waterproofing going down, and 12 hours later, there's tiling going on it. That's just not how the building industry works to a high standard. So,
well, it might be permissible because there is some short dry time, but there's known as the window. There's an application window between primer and first coat. There's an application window between first coat and second coat. The film thickness, in my opinion, is not nearly as important on the job as the cleanness of the puddle flange, the wipe, and the really just the film thickness in a wet area. That's your shower stall, is so much more important than, say, the film thickness on the back corner at the top of the slope. So they're just critical things we need to capture once. It's chaos. So at another time, team, it's the listeners and to you guys, we need to work out a way by which the high-risk items are captured by the person who really knows what they're doing. So they capture the cardinal points of the fall, they capture the clean puddle flange, they capture the sealant wipe, and it's just part of trade practice. And then they're film built. It's like me applying a paint coating. I haven't applied a lot of waterproofing, but I've applied a lot of films. Film thickness, film build was always essential. Have you ever heard a waterproofer that's sort of saying, dry film thickness? It's all about evenness and quality of coating application to a minimum thickness, because you really craft what you do.
I don't know, Lukey, if you'd recall, I don't know how long you've had your builder's license for. I've had mine for over 10 years. But I could probably still recall back to my actual exam for my builder's license, and I reckon all I had on waterproofing was a diagram, and you had to nominate where the waterproofing needed to be put. Nothing about how it was to be applied, anything like that. It was a matter of height behind a bath, how far out from a shower maybe, just basic stuff like that. And I think when you come down to what you're doing with tools, Jerry, I think off the top of my head, mate, your monthly subscription might be $30, $29.90 or $30.
After tax, you imagine what that is.
And before the discount for the Build Insight code as well there, guys. So keep an eye on socials. But, I mean, for a builder's time, say an hourly rate, what's a builder worth? Only each person would know that, but you're definitely worth a hell of a lot more than what you pay your carpenters and everything, because you've got a lot more liability and overheads and the works. $30 to get on there and have a lot of this information. It's pretty groundbreaking stuff you've got there, mate, which is exciting.
Most importantly is that they see in an illustration what I've learned from craftsmen, what I'm still learning from craftsmen, substrate. Your grandmas and mums, or whoever is the fastidious, often I'm dealing with grandsons of craftsmen, sons of carpenters, and they all say, you got to have a clean surface. And I'm thinking, isn't that just basic? Well, to our trades now, they're often they're layering on new materials on top of substrates because they haven't been taught the importance of the surface that you're applying a product to. I want this in our culture, boys and girls. I think it's not difficult. I'm really excited by it. I won't be around when the payoff comes in big time, but imagine if you never have to tell that story to people. You never have to worry. And all of you out there, if you haven't looked at our sealant tools, please look at them, because it tells you about different sealants, about paintability, about neutral cure when it's on a roof or inside an area that you don't want to grow mold. It pushes people to think about color matching. And so you're just automatically thinking that. Backing rods in bathrooms are just not being used, but you can still get a basic sealant geometry because you've looked at the sealant tools and you understand it. And then there's movement. You know what the number one defect is in Australian construction still? Cosmetic one, not the big end one. Ignorance about movement. Joints between different materials. You know, it's certainly our industry is not what it's cracked up to be. Is that a joke? Tyrrell?
No pun intended for sure, I'll imagine.
But look, you know, it's like, it's sort of an extension of a rusty fitting. I never installed a rusty fitting probably from 1980 onwards because I was sick and tired of seeing passivated zinc and some of the products that we were sold rusting and staining beautiful white paintwork. So there's so much of this basic stuff which we can pass into the industry, especially about simple things like substrates and I put a note down here about compatibility. We need to understand that it's fine to be craftsmen, but to understand the science of different materials being laid together, working together, harmony, teamwork. I watched a football game. You wouldn't know about AFL, Dean, but I watched a football game that was all about Brisbane manning up and playing well as a team. Well, building sites should be like Brisbane every single day we go to site. A crushing, joyful victory. So surprised because they were so good.
Are we more like the Sydney at the moment? I think is maybe a comparison, are we?
Okay. Oh, well, it's much worse. I call us frogs in a pot. Okay? You guys aren't, because look at you two. You've got technology that I've been in lots of studios and I've launched books and I've done lots of stuff and it's nice. I've got no idea how you're doing this. I've got some good cameras and stuff, but you're doing this. And the three of us are just humble tradesmen who hopefully are craftsmen who love our job. We're not frogs in a pot, but there are 1.4 million people, frogs in a pot out there, with leaders who are much worse because they're getting paid a fortune to keep up in the pot.
I think you've definitely nailed it there, mate. I think it's definitely trying to find those individuals that are super passionate about what they do and happy to share the knowledge around with people. I'm just going to backtrack as well on Dean's comment about time and what it costs for time. Like, could you imagine if you knew you had to look something up in the NCC, how much time, like if you had a set hourly rate for yourself, hopefully all business owners out there have worked out what your average hourly cost is for yourself as well. Can you imagine the time that you would spend flicking through trying to find the relevant information when you've got the pictures and the accessibility that you've got on tools that you can, it just streamlines the hell out of that process. And then if you do need to reference the NCC as well, the link is right there. Like, it will save you so much bloody time. It's not funny. So that tiny little amount for the monthly subscription, the hours and over the year, if you're serious about actually complying with all this stuff, the thousands of dollars that's going to save you in time trying to find the right information, it's a bloody no-brainer.
Look, you value your time. And look, I really admire that, but I'm hearing the backstory there is that you worry that you want to do it correctly too. All I want to do is make sure that it's really findable. It takes on average, about 8 seconds to find most content. And then you may need to dive through with it. If you want to share it with somebody or cut it to project, Dean's been bearing it in some of your QMS. A lot of people are using this as the technical content for their quality management system, which is fine. The bigger dogs brand it. So, you've got Taylor Tools, you've got Icon Tools, you've got those type of players will put a branding on it. You might get a group of people, Dean, you might say, I want to put Build Inside Tools, So it's just a gateway to find an answer quickly without the battered, out-of-date code that's in the back of the VN or an NCC guess, or people who don't even They don't bother. And I have to say to all the people out there, the MIPs are the slowest to come on board. Whereas to me, when I had a tradesman say, turn the barrow in the direction of where you're going before you load it, you know what I was thinking? Thank you, master. It was fantastic. Wet the bricks. They just said to me, dry press bricks, you must always wet the bricks before you bring them to me. And I'm thinking, great. And they said, don't knock the mortar up more than twice if ever I'm not here. Okay, so you didn't get mortar failure in 30 years, which I have to go and inspect when I do a pre-purchase inspection. There are, I'd say, tens of thousands of building tips like that I want everybody who's listening to this podcast to be thinking, I want to know that from Luke, Denny, Darren, Jerry.
I reckon one more thing that we might backtrack to, Jerry, as well. This probably goes to what we were just having a chat about before we press record for the podcast. Where, as you know, we've spoken about with the changes of the NCC, there's a really lot of focus on energy efficiency and building more high performance homes. So talking about condensation risks and moisture management, and you're working on that with tools as well to integrate some more information for people out there to see that in the tools program as well.
We are. But can I just say, part of the industry problem is the following. Nobody is checking the correct sarking is used. No one is dealing with the seal between a frame and a window. Nobody is understanding thermal bridging. There's a whole section J. You've got 7 or 8 different ways to assess the thermal performance instead of a workshop with all the bright sparks from each different sector working together and making sure that it's potentially buildable. Because I would argue that I haven't seen a building that will take the seal test, where they pressurize it and do a seal test and then fudge it.
I need to jump in here for a minute, guys, and take a moment to thank our sponsors, Backman Builders, Calorie Building and Build Imagery. Without the support of these businesses, the Build Insight podcast wouldn't be possible. So jump over and show the support for them so they can continue to support the Build Insight podcast.
And they're taping up any of the gaps to make sure that they can get a positive, that they can get a pass. Gaps that will always be in the building to compromise what the thermal objectives were of the consultant. And we don't know which consultant to use, whether it's a BASIX, whether it's this, and who checks that, and how we integrate it and how it relates to what the NCC code requirements are. This is one of the cleanup things. And if there are any leaders out there, get your act together. This could be a resume item, and none of you have got anything on your resume except the David Chandler of New South Wales. None of you have got anything special to say for your work in headlining the building industry. But you could by making sure that Section J is understood by all of us humble MIPs who want to build buildings with low carbon loss and just great quality defect-free work. There's my rant.
That's right, mate. We're all about testing and verifying, and I think that's why we're probably seeing a lot of trades really interested in ProClimber are doing their systems well and training days and things like that. But again, you've got to actually step outside your comfort zone and go and learn something and do something different rather than just what you know. It's not good enough anymore.
But you also may get a substitution, so that the substitution rule is, you've got a great system, it's been properly engineered, and hopefully the leaders will get together and allow you guys in the room to make sure that it's buildable. But then they'll substitute a window that has air leakage, excessive air leakage. The other point too is that louver windows are a phenomenal window for Australian climate. They're making better sealed ones, but they're not taking into account that 7 months of the year, the best way to get heat exchange and heat differentials is to have louver windows and to have them offset north-south so the whole place breathes. But, these are really sensible things, but louvers are almost prejudiced against in a lot of the signs that I'm seeing. So we need to get in a room and fix this, youngsters, and everybody listening out there, and make sure that, I have to say, their ceiling sarking's better. They're certainly doing that. All those things that I took as, just motherhood, they're doing all of. I used to tape my sarking to the window heads. to the angles. I used to close the corner. Remember the windows with fins? You guys ever install windows with fins? There'd be a square corner at the top. I was the mugger. You put a piece of tape across that before it was understood, because I thought that could let water in when wind-driven rain hits the facade. Common sense.
Absolutely. We need more of it. Jerry, I think we've heard you before, through tools, talk about a defect-free industry. Now, obviously, as we've been chatting about, with the tool that you've created, what's your hopes to see that integrated, and how do we see that playing out?
It has started. I think unless the MIPs, which is mainly your audience, start to come on board and show the curiosity and problem solving and desire not to make a mistake, I think it's going to be a slow journey. For you guys, it's already in culture, so there's going to be a very quick return. I've modelled about a 6-year period until 2030 before we have effectively defect-free handover. And the only thing that the industry will see then is ladder damage or a product failure. What I'd like to do is, for everybody listening out there, join this mission to know what the tradesmen of the past knew and became craftsmen by looking for it, embracing it. And that includes science and technology. Peeps, don't be shy of understanding thermal performance and talking to somebody. And don't get sucked into these little vents above battens that are going to fill up with dust and insects. So please be really, really skeptical of nonsense, but embrace the good science from people, especially sealant science now. There's some really good sealants out there from Sika and some of the bigger players in Celis.
It almost always comes back to collaboration, doesn't it? Like being able to, guys like myself and Dean and the next guy down the road, whoever, just continually networking and collaborating and just sharing the information. Because I guess if you try and put a time frame on, you know, how soon you think it might be defect free, the more people that actually take that personal mission to also network and put it out there, the faster it's going to progress for everybody, isn't it?
I think it's really up to the former frogs in the pots. Let's get out of the pot. The quicker that but everybody has to do it as far as this collaboration, Luke. The majority of people are outside the pot. This defect-free culture will be liberated. The bottom line advantages, and I'm dealing with a lot of people in France especially saying mental health is such a problem now, because when they go to work, they make mistakes. They don't make profit. A builder goes into liquidation and there's this downstream side. So when you're building defect-free, there's the joy of doing it properly, finding an answer, applying an answer, getting paid for the variation because it wasn't correctly documented. And that's another point to all of you. You can ask for a variation for something that's wrong. So you can get that extra cost. You do it properly. You get not only the benefit of being a craftsman, the owner thinks, oh, this guy knows what he's doing and he fixed this before it became a problem. You don't have to rework the embarrassment. Me, on the other side, basically saying, how the F did you manage to do something so stupid and it's cost you $35,000 plus $50,000 legals? So this defect-free, it is a get-out-of-jail-free card for liability, but it's so much more fun. More money. And we can have a cup of coffee together, tax deductible. Whenever you use tools, you'll be thinking, hey, my mate Dean, my mate Lee, my mate Jerry are with me on this.
Love it, mate. Your passion is infectious.
Oh, you guys. But look at you guys taking time off work on a Thursday. I spent 50 years looking for this. Now we've got something, we've got a real going concern. Look, whilst I've got you there, I am going to push something to show you that I've got your backs. This is not commercial. My niece died when she was 4 weeks old. And so I got into some first aid products rather than grieve because I'm an anxious sort of person and I have to do things. Please put iFirst Aid on your phone. It's an app. So I'll repeat, iFirst Aid with I in front. To all you listeners out there, have a look at that. It is the quickest way to find help in an emergency. It's even faster than tools. It's free. It will always be free. I've got your back. What I want to do with the 1.4 frogs out there, note frogs who haven't got anything on their resume. Help fix the building industry by jumping out of the pot. Leave the leaders in there highly paid doing nothing. Let's fix our industry together and have each other's backs again. No fighting, great teamwork, the best craftsmanship in the world. We won't be the cheapest. I would love Australia to be the best craft builders and designers and everybody else in the food chain in the world. It's possible.
Yeah, like that, Jerry. We'll definitely get the links onto the show notes for everything as well for all the listeners. So that's amazing, mate.
And it'd be nice for people to see maybe some screenshots. But what I will say is that we have made the Built Inside 20 code available to everybody. Now, look, Building Tools is easy to access. You can go to the App Store and just download the Building Tools app. You can go online and also load buildingtools.co. It is an easy find. If you need to spend a little bit of time, cut us some slack. You've got $10 million plus worth of IP that's updated and ISO'd. If you need to struggle and nerd in like David Tomic, the architect in Western Australia, message me. It will probably be the best 10 hours you ever spend. You'll never make an intentional mistake again, and you will join the non-frog, defect-free culture of craftsman building.
Yeah, and I think you like we sit down at the start of projects and before we commence a project, Jerry, and you're going to think about your site setup and making sure you've got all your permits and your applications and everything's lined up, your scheduling. You've contacted your trades. You can sit there for those extra few hours and on tools and create a project folder and think, all right, I want to take a PDF of X, Y, Z, like we've said, our waterproofings, our cavities, our cladding systems, our stairs, whatever it might be. And it's done. You might want to add to that when you think of something else, but it's done. You can go add that into your job folder as your tool, so to speak, and it's there ready to go. And that's the way we've been tackling it. We can look back on a few things and do it even yesterday with the guys on site with a detail that we were looking at for some finishes of some cladding, just to make sure that we had absolutely everything covered. So yeah, no, that's definitely such a powerful use of your time.
The corner flashings with cladding, but also the water stop angle centre of door. I bicker with everybody the whole time. I say water stop angle always goes to the centre of the door. The water stop angle must return around the cavity of a pocket door. And I can show them a drawing. So you've got 3 pocket doors. I'll just snapshot the water stop angle detail from tools. So there are just hundreds of these. But most importantly, if you've got the right people, I met a 21-year-old carpenter who's now a leading hand on a Parkview job here in Sydney. He was just the most joyful. He loved his job, and all he wanted to do was to know what he didn't know and find it quickly. So I think the potential, we're not all frogs, but can I just say, I was a frog for a while, but with a brain thinking, oh, they're going to fix this, they're going to fix that. All they seem to do is turn the heat up and boil us more and give us more failure and more cost to go to work. Now, this guy is not going to be a frog. How many more can we make sure are non-frogs in our industry, boys? I love your smiles. It's so great.
I like the reference back to the frogs all the time.
It's true. We're suckers, and please don't think there's not any put down in this because I'm just as bad. I just assumed that our leaders knew that they could do something, and they don't.
Where can people find out more about tools, Jerry? Obviously, I've noticed from my short viewings of it, it's mainly aimed at a phone app and maybe an iPad app. Obviously, you did mention that you can get it just on the website as well. Where else can people find out more about it, or what would you suggest the first step be?
I think the first step is I always intended it to be on site because that's where my life is. That's my joy. So the phone app is ideal. It will work on an iPad. We've got a few rotation issues just at the moment because we've only really invested in smartphones and the desktop. Desktop is where it's had its starting point with designers and certifiers. So if you do want to go into buildingtools.co, you can then load it to your desktop. We have just recently, within the last 3 weeks, we've gated the 10 free screens a month. So you're getting hardly any screens. But it's now so full of goodies, the $10 million plus the certification and update. That's my dog coughing, the border collie. That it's, for that tax deductible cup of coffee. And ideally, you're going to use tools less and less, but it'll always be there and then you can share it. So you can easily get access on your phone, on your desktop. You're doing a quote. You want to lasso a drawing in there. You want to send it off to your tiler to say that I want the tiles 3 millimeters lower than the top of water stop angle. How many times have they put the tile to the top of the water stop angle? And the loop cannonballs into the bath and the water just spills over the angle left at the door again, Dean? All right, so it's easy to access. If you need to muddle around a little bit, once you're in and you know where to find it, you've got voice search, you've got site search, and of course you've got the word search. You can type it in. So it's an easy way to get to everything. Everything will improve, but the drawings are pretty cute and pretty complete now.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, Jerry. I found it I might be doing some tech stuff, but I'm not as amazing with computers and stuff that I might let out to be, but it's pretty easy to find what you're looking for when you're on there.
We've done it for you, but it's every single tradesman and craftsman that I know has allowed me to do this. And because I translate everything that's in this swirl of thoughts in my head into pictures, I'm just down the lane. I've just followed on from other people who knew a lot more than I did, and I've just managed to illustrate it for everybody.
Yeah, I think compared to the cost of purchasing Australian standards, we add them all up. It's quite expensive compared to having a program like you're working on and making continual improvements for, Jerry. So all we can say, mate, is we thank you for your hard work and lifetime of experience. You're actually making it count, not just letting it waste away.
And so are you too, please. You're already out of the pot. Proudly. I would love, you're one of the few MIPs that are starting to be proactive about making sure that the trades know what they need to know before they make the same mistake again.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Luke. Best of luck to both of you.
All good. Thank you so much for coming on, Jerry. And I know a lot of people can definitely learn something from this. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us here. Guys, that is a wrap. We've just had an incredible conversation with Jerry from the Tools app. We look forward to catching on another episode soon. We'll pop a few links down in the show notes where you can easily find Jerry's platform, also the iFirst aid. That's I do like the fact that you mentioned that. Anybody should definitely get onto that. So we'll pop a few links down in the show notes. But yeah, thanks again for your time, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll look forward to bringing you another one next week. Catch you soon.
Thank you.
Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.